This is episode number 95 of the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch and Tim Dahl.
Yes.
Another year older, Tim.
Yes, it was my New Year's on Sunday. I'm 46. Yeah, I guess it was a weird year because, it's like, another year. But like this year has been kind of strange, right? So I don't know what I'm celebrating or what I'm grateful for, just kind of existing. I'm in real time.
I'm grateful to know you. That's all I know.
I appreciate that.
Well,
Likewise.
I never watch late night comedy because I'm too busy watching forensics. And if I want comedy, I have you come over. But I have to, I have to quote this great speech I pilfered from Trevor Noah, who has decided to pick on the man he likes to call the booger on the lip of democracy. Any guesses, Tim?
That could be a few people.
I'll cut to the punch.
Okay.
Ted Cruz.
No, that guy. Yeah,
Tuesday night's dissertation began with a close-up footage of Cruz speaking during a 2016 GOP primary debate. This quote, establishment Republican candidates were making their list stand against Donald Trump, and Senator Ted Cruz had a gross booger hanging on his lip. And then he ate it. As if nobody could see it.
What?
So quote the Trevor Noah. This is Ted Cruz, the booger on the lip of democracy. Then they went on to recount like Cruz had settled in Houston with his family at the age of 4. He went to Princeton. His roommate called him a nightmare of a human being. He met his wife, Heidi, perfect name for him, after graduating from, I don't know how he did. He must have paid it off, Harvard Law School. And then they included a grainy clip of a young Ted Cruz saying he'd like to appear in an adult film and achieve world domination. Yes, young Ted Cruz was, as they said on The Daily Show, obsessed with boobs and power, two things he would like and continues to struggle to get his hands on for the rest of his life. Oh, my God.
He likes to play like the dumb guy card, and a lot of that's about his actual disrespect for the general public, which the general public is often not the brightest thing, but he has a really high IQ. He's a horrible person. He's manipulative.
He's one of the worst. He's one of the worst.
And then he's like always trying to play this like I'm for the people. His wife I think was the head of Goldman Sachs Texas. I mean they're frauds on the highest fucking level. They're fucking frauds. And they're bad. Well, I just keep on going.
I think after his trip to Cancun, when Texas had that winter storm and all the electricity went out, and he claimed it was for his daughters, that's especially when he was named a booger on the lip of democracy.
I mean, it was the storming of the Capitol was less than a second after he put the period at the end of his speech. He basically gave the green light, and then he's just in a panic room, like, I don't know, I have nothing to do with this. Fucking asshole, total piece of shit. All right, so I don't know. You want to talk more about Ted Cruz?
No, there are better people in Texas, plenty of them, than that. No, I want to talk about. I don't know if you heard about Amy Carlson, the self-proclaimed mother god and leader of the cult Love Has Won. Well, she was just found mummified in a shrine in Colorado.
Yes. You sent me this. Oh, yes.
Adorned in glitter makeup and Christmas tree lights and missing both of her eyes.
What was that about?
Nobody has a reason for that. Among her teachings of Love Has Won is that Carlson was the 534th avatar of God on earth. She was 19 billion years old. That's even worse than Scientology.
19 billion is a lot, yeah.
And a reincarnation of...
That's older than the universe.
A reincarnation of Jesus who could heal people of cancer with the power of love. Now, she first grew interested in New Age philosophy after leaving her husband and her job at McDonald's. That's enough to either scare you into becoming a mass murderer or religion. Kind of same field.
Oh,
but hours of proselytizing on live stream to viewers, convincing everyone that she was, how do these people get away with it? A divine being and trying to save humanity, and that she would lead 144,000 of them. How can 144,000 people be the chosen few? I mean, the chosen ones should be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the fifth dimension. Now, I don't know if she meant the band or the fifth dimension.
Exactly. Marilyn McHugh.
Anyway, she prohibited her members from drinking or drugs, but yet she was constantly drunk.
Duh. Probably on tons of speed. Was this in Colorado? Is that what you said?
Colorado. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, some of her more outlandish and I find endearing claims of Mother God was that Trump, although she's 19 billion years old, was her father. She performed over 100,000 spiritual surgeries.
Okay.
She regularly communicated with Robin Williams, and that she's been reincarnated over 530 times, including Marilyn Monroe. I mean, that wasn't that long ago, honey. Cleopatra, she has full memory of all of it, and including being hung on the cross as Jesus. Whoa. So, I mean, is she Mother God? Is she Jesus? No, she's just another demented fraud who somehow milks desperate people into a cult where they give up all their money and all their freedoms. I just don't understand.
Was she murdered, do you think? Or do you think this was like
I don't think she cut her own frickin' eyes out.
Well, was it part of a ceremony that she arranged? And
they're still looking into it.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado is always a weird one. I mean, I know it's beautiful, but whenever I go there, I'm my existence in Colorado is kind of a dissonant thing. And that's what it is. It's like Colorado Springs, kind of like flat top haircut, cop, military, like everyone on the ground, I'm going to frisk you kind of thing. Or these kind of like eco hippies that usage to work at McDonald's, new agers. So it's like,
she was deaf to reason, dumb as a doorknob, and now blind. 19 billion and years and 1 day old.
Covered in glitter with no eyeballs. That's a look. No pun intended. Or maybe a lack of a look. I don't know.
Help me unsee that look.
Yes. All right. Well, we're gonna move on and we're gonna continue the thread of the conversation or the topic of the state of Colorado. They found the human remains. I think it's this missing woman and inside 2 black bears in Colorado. They ended up euthanizing or killing these black bears. So they're obviously suspects. Their suspicions were correct, because when they opened them up, it was like a mom and its cub. There was this woman, and they suspected this woman has been missing for a while, with all her body parts inside their stomach. And I didn't realize there's 20,000 black bears in Colorado estimated, and that's the problem when they start going into scavenger land or they just start eating humans. It's like we're not going to be able to coexist at this point. So they ended up killing those things. And
wait, how did they narrow it down to those 2?
Well, that's what the stories were not. I looked this story up.
Forensics has come a long way.
Few different sources. I think someone witnessed, or I don't know, but they suspected these bears, and they ended up killing them, and they suspect hers. They're going to do more DNA tests to confirm it's hers. It's going to be someone else's. I told you I've been charged by bears before. I've had 4 bear experiences, and I'm not talking about the human types of bears. I'm talking about wild bears.
All right. Well, we
can talk about that later. Yeah. But that's scary. Yeah.
All right. This headline caught my attention. It was beaten to death for a chicken. Video taken inside a public supermarket in Miami shows the arrest of a homeless man who was accused of stealing some chicken from the store and proceeded to eat it before he was confronted by an officer of the law. And the confrontation led to the police, taking the man to the ground, striking him repeatedly in the head. And somebody said, it looks like he's beating him to death for a chicken. A bystander. I would say it's excessive. I'd hate to be that damn chicken or the man. Now, the man, Willie Barber, arrested, of course, for petty theft, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest without violence. The officer relieved of duty. Now, first of all, why do they always charge people with resisting arrest? What are you supposed to go willingly into that dark cell?
These days I would totally.
Even when you put your hands up in the air on a steering wheel, you can still be shot. Sure. So I don't get it. And resisting without violence. Well, isn't that just being like a normal person who might be frightened that a mass murderer in a uniform is standing in front of you?
Absolutely. It's funny. And I wish I had the details, because I think it's also happened in Colorado. A similar story. There was a woman with dementia. And she
73 years old.
Yeah, she went into Walmart or someplace like this and picked up some plants and then put them back. Was confused. And I was confronted by the management, but she did put him back. And then the cops were called. They're like, "You stole a plant," and they ended up like breaking her, dislocating her shoulder, pinning her down. She has dementia. So,
Well, wait, that wasn't the worst. Then they were caught on camera laughing about it.
Yes, well, they all were fired, but whether it's Rittenhouse, or whether you're this fucking dumb vigilante defending a fucking car dealership that's not yours, even if you have a badge or being paid, what's up with this? Like, I'm gonna kill to protect $20. I care so much about this consumer bullshit that I'm going to kill someone for something I'm not profiting on, something that makes no difference to this person, but they're so brainwashed. Like, oh, if I had $1 million, my life would be like great or something. It's like, no, you're an idiot, and it would probably kill you. Which
can we draw the line at grannies, please? Can we draw the line at grannies, at least, especially demented? And I mentioned this before, in Austria, somebody steals food. You're not arrested. You're fucking hungry. Give the person something to goddamn eat already. Jesus.
Well, I was almost killed once late night after a gig when I was driving back through Williamsburg, and I was dropping the drummer off Orrin Canfield. And strangely enough, and this is supposed to be bad luck, a black cat cuts out and crosses in front of me, and I jam on the brakes, and that thing saved my life, because less than a second later, a car going like 80 in one of these residential one-way, small, going 80 the wrong way up a one way would have literally just killed me. And then I was like, you know what? That guy's running from something. So I paused a second, and sure enough, you had some fucking hothead cop chasing him. So again, it's like this, I make a difference. They're supposed to just like let these things go. Like, someone shoplifted a candy bar, I'm going to kill him. High-speed chases, let the guy go. There's surveillance cameras everywhere. Like, you are basically going to kill someone because you're such a hothead. You're bummed out some teenager got away with something. I mean,
all right. Nobody said they were supposed to be smart. Now, speaking of dumb dicks,
yes.
Every week now there's a new, I'm impressed. So an ex-prisoner who shoved part of a domino into his penis to make masturbating better in jail was taken
to that work?
I don't have any idea. Well, I mean, look, most men complain if you try to get a Q-tip up there, much less a frickin' domino.
Jeez.
So he was taken into the emergency room years later, though, because while he was having sex, he had like a 1.5 inch long domino that he had shaved down, but he had, while having sex a year and a half after it had been in there, he'd fractured his penis and went to the emergency room, and the doctors discovered that he had shoved the object in there with a pencil
It's a hard story
for sexual enhancement. Now, so he goes to the emergency room, but they thought maybe he'd literally, I've talked about it before, it's a real thing. They thought he'd cracked his dick, but since they didn't hear it pop, they realized there was a domino in there. Yeah.
I mean, domino.
He had no pain during sex for the most time, but at one point it just swelled up.
So what was the urination like? I mean, you said it was.
Well, they said that they for some reason I don't know how he was happy while he was jerking off. They said it wasn't a problem until it got infected.
I mean, you hear about all these things that are surgically removed from people's assholes, and you rarely hear about things that are moved out of someone's urethra.
Well, the doctor said that usually the inserting of foreign objects into the penis is more common in Asian countries, especially among gang members, gang bang members. Okay. And in the States, it's usually prisoners. Now, it don't make no sense to me, all I'm saying.
Well, yes.
Like I said, most men, I just have to repeat it. The thought of a Q-tip up there makes most men just run from the room screaming, much like a friggin' domino. How about a pack of cards next time?
What was his name? Franklin? Urethra Franklin? Urethra Franklin? Franklin? Sorry. All right. So, I mean, yeah, a domino. That's a strange thing to decide.
Well, I mean, it's what he got in jail. So he was able to shave it down a bit, like shaved it down until it would fit.
Ugh, yuck.
Well,
whatever it takes.
Hey, I'm not going any further into that drawer. Go ahead.
So right now we're gonna see where this goes. Brandon Mitchell. You know who this guy is? He's one of the jurors on the whole Chauvin thing, and now they're basically trying to dismiss it because he checked off in the questionnaire, have you ever participated in a protest against police or police brutality? And he said no. And then, so this is where it gets complicated. He was at the rally of the anniversary of the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech last summer, but he had a BLM cap on and he was supposed to be impartial. He had a t-shirt that said, "Get your knee off our necks." So this is complicated. And of course he's lawyering up and they're saying, well, he was at the Martin Luther King anniversary, had nothing to do with that, technically a anti-police brutality, but Floyd's family was there speaking. It's complicated. I was wondering about this guy. He's a 30-year-old African-American guy. I think he's like a high school basketball coach. He was like the first juror, I believe, to come out like within 24 hours after the verdict. And he was on all the networks like CNN, also. I felt like he was kind of like a little bit of like a narcissist media whore. And because like who volunteers? Like I was a juror immediately.
Everybody wants their 15 minutes. The problem is this.
No, but he wanted to be on this historic case. And maybe he had an emotional or just whatever kind of commitment to this case. The problem is he's jeopardizing this whole fucking thing.
Thing is, they can try it again. I mean, it's just a delay tactic because it's obvious what happened. Nothing is going to change. I mean, everybody has seen the evidence. Go back and do it again. I'd advise Chauvin, if he wasn't, to get a different lawyer. That guy his lawyer was the most boring, ridiculous, and idiotic person I've ever seen on TV.
I'm glad you're bringing this up. I think it might have been a defense strategy. They knew he was going to lose. And when they did the vetting process, they knew they had shit on this guy and they wanted him to actually be a juror so they could actually use this to go back. And if that's the case, the prosecution really fucked up by not vetting this guy too. But who knows?
I don't know. All right. You know what? Just give me a funny tale about a donkey or something right now, Tim, because the news is kind of making me sick today. We got boogers on the lips of democracy. We have dominoes up a penis. We have Chauvin again. We have Mother of God, no eyes, glitter makeup. Please
all right,
tie this up with something a bit lighter.
This kind of lighter. It's a little kind of physical humor, and everything worked out, so it's not so bad. So this 2-year-old Tennessee boy, they're visiting grandma, and they're all having dinner, and they hear this little, kind of like the Fly movie, this little voice like, help me kind of thing. They're like, what's going on? And they're like, they didn't give his name. Where's toddler 2-year-old? Tennessee toddler 2-year-old. Where is he? And he somehow managed to wedge himself into this antique wooden barrel.
I saw this.
And they couldn't find him. And they're like, we can't get him out. What to do? Like, are you in there?
Wait, wasn't he holding his teddy bear outside it though? I saw that picture.
Well, that was later. So what they had to do is they called the ambulance. Ambulance is like, this is a little complicated. They brought the whole barrel with the kid inside to the emergency room, at which point they did an x-ray of the whole barrel because the doctor's like, well, we don't know where his hip is. We don't know where his head is. We're going to start busting this thing open, but we don't want to kill him in the process. So they had to really coordinate the whole thing. I mean, he was basically just like a crumbled up ball inside this thing. And they strategized it properly. They busted him out and he's okay. But Tennessee toddler 2-year-old, I think learned a little lesson there.
Well, it's kind of the cap off too. It might be harder to get a 2-year-old out of a, antique box than it is to pull a domino out of another man's dick.
And I bet you did that thing look like a boa constrictor to swallow a rat? It was all swelling up. I don't know.
You know what? I'm looking for the pictures. I'll forward them when I find them. Anyway, this is episode number. I feel like I need a Band-Aid on both knees right now. This is episode number 95 of the Lydia and Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and Rick Froberg, an incredible musician and an absolutely great graphic artist who's done many posters, all kinds. I love his designs. I have to say they're rough but beautiful. They're elegant, yet kind of punk. Rick Froberg.
Yes.
This is the Lydia and Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and Rick Froberg, musical instigator, graphic designer, artist, album covers, posters, T-shirts. Anything else he wants to, I guess.
Crap.
Put his signature upon. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. I'm so flattered to be asked to be your guest.
So yeah, Rick's also like a rock star. It's funny because when we met, I was living Midwood, South Brooklyn. He was kind of in the general area. I was, everyone's on a
I live
shoestring.
on Avenue O and at Ocean Parkway. That's where I lived.
And I was Avenue on Ocean Park at that time. No, before. Oh yeah, that's where you lived, and then you moved a little further north later. But anyhow,
to Kensington, yeah.
Yeah. But basically, I was right near Brooklyn College, Bedford, and with Dave bought into Simon, and it was basically this shoestring budget. And you came over. Spec Brown introduced us. She came over for like a birthday party. You came along, and it was still New York where you could. I mean, it's still expensive, but it wasn't as expensive as now. And we were kind of just like living in this kind of party house.
It seemed sane, kind of.
Yeah, it's insane. But we were having a great time. Music, we're playing, blah blah blah, and just we got to know each other. And then Rick's like, "Well, my band Hot Snakes is playing. Do you want to come and check it out?" And I was like, "Sure." And I came and I'm like, wait a second, there's like 1,000 boys here in the audience, and they're all singing along to all your songs. I'm like, what? Yeah. What's going on here?
Yeah, it's my secret life, like Walter Mitty.
Well, anyhow, we appreciate.
You say 1,000 boys. I'm not going to ask the age, but kind of my nightmare.
It's my nightmare.
Dream.
It's my nightmare too. Yeah, It's everyone's nightmare, but it's like
I noticed that. I don't know how long you've been on Sub Pop, but your last record was on Sub Pop.
The New York band I was in called Obits was on Sub Pop for 3 records.
The reason I bring that up is because it reminded me when you said your nightmare as well, hanging out with Piss Jeans also on Sub Pop.
Those guys.
And they have they have a boy following, and it was funny because Matt's always like, anything but white boys, please. I'm like, hey, I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah, you really can't choose your audience. I mean,
you can't choose your audience now.
You can't do that. It's like if they come, I think whoever wants to show up, I would love it if it was like like there's occasional like a girl or something there. but there's nothing you can do.
I would love it if there was an occasional squirrel at my show. I mean, I got girls, I got boys, I got in-betweeners, but certainly never 1,000 of them, because that's just, I got to look in all of their eyes. So what's up now in the new spring 2021? You feeling any better than you did last year?
No, man, it's this sucks. We just went for a walk in the cemetery at the Greenwood Cemetery.
Greenwood,
you should have stopped by. I'm right by there.
Oh, really? Oh, man.
Next time.
That's amazing cemetery, by the way.
It's my favorite place in New York City. By far.
It's the highest point in Brooklyn too, so you get an actual perspective up there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Yes, he is there. And Billy the Butcher, there's a long list.
Boss Tweed.
So you're there today, you're saying?
Yes.
Beautiful day.
Beautiful day. It's getting there. It's going to blow up. You know how the cemetery is just popcorn, it's just, there's so many trees there that are just, somebody told me that has the widest variety of trees on the eastern seaboard of any park or cemetery and like that. It's
more than the Brooklyn Botanical Garden.
Yes, it's a veritable arboretum. It's incredible. That place is great, and no one.
So are you often
goes because it's a cemetery, so you're alone. It's great.
I think you should stalk around my house a little bit more often. I'm only a few blocks from the cemetery. I'll be looking out for you, buddy.
It's so good.
So before we go to the kind of the beginning, last I heard of you, All Tomorrow's Parties, were you supposed to be the curator, and then they canceled because it kind of went out of business or stopped existing, right?
Yeah, that's when the sort of the wishful thinking, hit the immovable wall. Like they just didn't have any money, and they didn't pay anybody.
Right.
This is kind of a sore spot because we were going to curate this. We had it all done, and like the day before, not the day before, like a couple days before, we started getting calls and texts from people that we haven't got our plane tickets yet, and blah 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 blah, and the whole thing was just this.
Who did you have booked for? Who were you hoping to have? And this was the UK All Tomorrow's Party.
It was supposed to be at Butlins. Then they had to move it to Manchester. Then they had to move it to someplace else because
what
it
year?
couldn't pay.
What year?
this was probably, man, this is probably, I guess this is probably 16, 17, 16.
4 or 5
think.
years ago. It
So-
was
Yeah,
the
4 or
last
5
one.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who did you want?
Oh, we had all kinds of great people. We had like, we were going to destroy the UK. That was the whole idea. We had a lot of Spanish bands actually, like Wawi Los Args and Betanizer, and like we had like people like John Cale and Diamanda Galas, and it was cool. It was going to be cool.
Did you ever run into Diamanda when you were in San Diego?
Never met her. I'm so scared of her though.
Wow. Rick, two things. You should be.
Yeah.
And everybody should be. But bizarrely, this is so weird because I think I was at all tomorrow's parties more than anybody, which is bizarre because I'm never asked to be on any other festivals. But I think Vince Gallo invited me, Mars Volta, one of my favorite bands, invited me. I did a spoken word curation there.
Oh, that's cool.
The Melvins and Mike Patton invited, like, onto the Teenage Jesus reunions. Fortunately, I always got paid. That was a great festival.
It was great. So you were going like from the very beginning, right?
No, I wouldn't say from the very beginning, but it just seemed, because I was doing much smaller things except for the Teenage Jesus reunion. Like, I mean, they had never done a spoken word thing before. So I'm like, hey, I know a lot of great spoken word artists in the UK. Let's do it. Also brought Bibby Hansen, Tim, just for your reference.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, somehow, I guess, because I was close by. I was in Barcelona. I was a cheap date for them. And also I'd go in the
That guy moved to Barcelona. Barry moved to Barcelona, actually. He's like,
after he knew we were both gone.
yeah. Yeah. I don't want to crap on this guy because I think it was the greatest thing ever. It was really great. But it just, we got unlucky and it fell apart. Yeah, and it sucks. I'm sorry that it's gone because it was really, and I'm also sorry that we were the ones that it went with because it was going to be a good show.
The collateral damage. Yeah. When you're the collateral damage and it's just what, there's nothing you can really do. You're just kind of like,
Also, what sucked is it was so much better than the bigger festivals. It was doable. It was far more communal. It was, and because there were cool people curating it, it was manageable to go see a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah.
So, well, sorry about that. And did you have a lot of stuff planned before the COVID crunch came down?
Yes, we did. And it all went down the toilet.
Yep. Are you kind of like 2022 or you're just kind of like, why bother and put all this effort until we actually really know?
I think I'm the latter because I think people have to, it has to get back to where people believe in it, sort of like believe they could be safe around other people and stuff like that. It's not even just like what the, whatever the authorities say or whatever. It's like, it's about people
trusting.
Yeah. Trusting.
I always say, and there's been a lot of studies on like other pandemics, obviously the Spanish flu, and how it's not just like a light switch going off. When you have a house cat or a house dog and the front door is open and they're kind of like peering out, like, should I go for it? What's going on here?
Right.
It's, everyone's a little nervous.
Right.
You're a Southern California kid. And I remember you revealed one night, you're like, yeah, I was into BMX bikes.
Yep.
When you would come over to the house, and Dave was there, we were constantly playing avant-garde music like Stockhouse, and you're like, what the fuck? And
you guys are crazy.
We were like partying, we're playing all this weird music. And then I found an old Rat album and I played that and you kind of perked up. You're like, can you play that one again?
Dude, I love Rat.
San Diego.
Rat's from San Diego, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So when I'm getting out, you're growing up, you're like a BMX kid. I don't know if you're a skateboarder too, Southern California.
I'm a generic Southern California kid, except for I've lived here for 23 years, so I'm not anymore.
You're not anymore. Okay. But you were into the glam metal scene, even though you kind of,
I liked it. Yeah. I liked it.
Although you eventually became kind of post-hardcore or whatever you want to call what you are.
The first punk band I ever saw, what made me get into punk rock was actually COC because it's Corrosion Conformities because I went to a show. It was Dark Angel, Possessed, Hyrax or something like that. And Corrosion Conformity. And I saw those guys. I was like, those guys are my people.
Back in the day, I mean, of course, there was always some metal bands that actually they wore the costume of metal, but they were more punk. And then there was punk bands that wore the costume of punk, but they're actually, if you listen to them now, you're like, hey, that's kind of heavy metal. But what was definitely for sure is just the marketing and that line, that cultural line with kids, like, what side are you on? And so it's funny you even talk about it that way. It's like, well, this is where I'm going.
you could just feel you just feel like you're more your people. They were dirty and they had beards and they didn't seem to care about what they looked like. And it wasn't like there wasn't this constant. As metal has a lot of rules. Like it's like you're supposed to do this and look like this and blah 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 blah. It's not good. It's like hardcore. Actually, it's actually worse than metal. You know.
A lot of forms of music have fashion rules, which is
they have fashion rules, and I don't. I guess fashion rules are great, right?
And music rules.
All kinds of rules, and I don't. I'm not saying I don't like rules. Rules are fine. It just has to be the rules I like, and like those weren't the rules I liked.
Rick, you know what my rule is? No rules.
Ah, yes, well.
That's your favorite rule.
Rules are for fools.
That's what I kind of expected from you.
Thank you very much.
I'm surprised I've never heard that before. Yeah.
You were more in the LA area, right? Or when did you move to San Diego? Or you were born in LA? Whoa. This is really psychedelic.
I was born in Los Angeles, but I moved there when I was in like fifth grade. I was born in Los Angeles. I moved to San Diego when I was probably in the fifth grade or something.
Okay.
So, I mean, I remember LA, but I did, we would go up there, we'd drive up there. You know what? I've always hated that place.
But you like San Diego.
Yes. Well, it's where my family's from, where my friends are from. It's actually like a low key version of LA, sort of.
Well, culturally, it's not really known, but for
people
just
skip it. People skip it.
Exactly. But for outdoor recreation, and I mean, it's kind of like just the beach life, all that. It's kind of second to none in the United States. I mean,
there's nothing better. But also, people don't really understand this about San Diego. That we had a very, very, very strong music scene there, like where people were very supportive of each other. It was small, but it was very personal and strong, and everyone got along. Everyone supported each other.
It might be before your time, but did you know about this gang that was in San Diego called FON, Friends of No One?
Oh, I certainly did. I got beat up by them. Oh,
well, you know what? I pulled a knife on one, and I did not get beat up by them.
You know who? I bet you I know who you pulled the knife on.
I have no idea.
Joe Kuchman. Was he like?
No, it was in a girl's bathroom, and they were talking about shit, and I'm just pulling the fucking knife out. I'm like, hey, that's not the way it goes down here, I'm afraid.
I wish you had killed all of them.
I can come back.
I would visit you in prison every day.
What's terrifying is they've just discovered a way to take DNA out of the air. I don't think I'm committing any more crimes. And those that I've committed that I've not been institutionalized for will remain as they are. And that's the end of my so-called criminal thing. San Diego was a very ripe time for music. I mean, also LA at that period in the 80s. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of things were coming up. A lot of things were happening.
Totally.
Very different vibe than the East Coast. And
yeah, it's very different.
You're going to school with your buddy, and you start fucking around in high school like most of us did. Yeah.
What made you get into this stuff?
What stuff?
Rock and roll and stuff like that. Playing in the it's a weird thing for people. It's like, what? Don't you ever ask yourselves why?
I know.
Why am I doing this?
I know exactly why I got into it. First of all, I'm a nomad by nature. And second of all, I came to New York thinking I could do spoken word, but I had to do anti-rock music first. It made sense to me.
I like the anti-rock music. I like the Jerks. I think I like that. I don't know. It's just nasty and mean and awesome.
Well, I've done all kinds of things. A lot of them have been mean, nasty, and awful, and not all of them musical. But
I said awesome, by the way.
Awesome. Excuse me. All right, thank you very much.
I'm in California. I say awesome all the time.
I forced Tim, who didn't. I don't even think I'd ever heard a Teenage Jesus song, to play drum once.
I have heard those songs.
Well, he had to hear him to rehearse him. He could not understand the music because he's too freaking talented. Oh, it was torture for him. One show, Teenage Jesus, Tim on drum. I loved it.
I played one professional drum gig, and that was it, and I got paid really well.
You play drums?
I don't. No. I did for Teenage Jesus and the Jerks.
Weasel had to take his hands and show him how to play like a monkey. Literally, it was so below his musical intelligence. I had so much fun doing that. Oh my god, it was great.
You're coming into the heavy metal world, and you're seeing alternatives to what heavy metal can be. It doesn't just have to be this glam thing, even though you liked Rat.
It's a progression. It's like it starts with the dumber stuff. Like you start with the dumbest Rush or whatever. Like and it goes from there. It's like And like eventually I saw punk.
Right.
Eventually I heard Discharge or something like that. And it was like, oh my God, this is incredible.
And how old were you then?
I was probably 16 or something.
Okay. So what was the, as a teenager and BMX bikes in Southern California and all that stuff, were your parents kind of like hands-on and they kind of oversaw, or were you kind of like a feral kid just kind of going out into the world and just kind of?
The latter.
Okay. And so would you say that music and the arts, you also do visual art, was that something that you just gravitated to, or would you say it saved you? Would you say it just kind of who knows? It just kind of
with music, that's just a compulsion. That's like, it's something I had to do. I don't know why I did it, but art, I was always good at that. I could draw.
Your art is so diverse. I mean, it's really beautiful. It's beautiful. First of all, a lot of it's black and white. Somehow it's very intoxicating to me. I was looking up a lot of your stuff today, and I was just like,
thank you.
There's many different styles. I mean, you're like a visual artist, schizophrenic, like I'm a musical schizophrenic. And every style was still really bold, and there was something beautiful about it, even though you're using either harsh elements. It was harsh yet beautiful, which is how I consider myself on the best days.
Thank you very much. The reason why it's kind of diverse is I'm an illustrator. I don't call myself an artist. I call myself an illustrator because I get annoyed with art.
I call myself a confrontationalist. Don't worry about it.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you.
Can I use that? That's
Get in line, honey. I've been using it for decades. But also, I'm interested that like the art that you said, the artist, the visual artist, the painters that you were interested in one interview I read were like Goya, which you mentioned Goya.
Love Goya.
One of my favorite. Absolutely. I mean, the black paintings, which he painted on his walls.
Have you seen those?
They've been taken off the wall since. No,
I never saw them. Oh, well, they're up in the Prado, right?
Yeah, they're in the Prado. They're beautiful and also look capricious. I mean, he was doing engravings and paintings, etchings about the war and about what, as he put it, the folly of human beings. It's so beautiful.
I'm a super fan.
That's
of all the things he does, especially of the etchings.
Absolutely.
I used to do etchings. The problem with etchings is like you have to go someplace. Like I used to go to Art Students League to do them.
I mean, I love all the paintings from like the 13 to the 1600s. Caravaggio. I love religious paintings. I love paintings that especially have black backgrounds. That's what suckers me in. We have a lot in common, my friend.
Yeah, black is what it's all about, and it's like the economy of. I like graphic art, and I mean not just like using Illustrator or something. I mean like it's like just really just something that's going to be catchy, you know? Because
the economy of space as well, yeah.
Right. Also, it also comes down to the punk rock thing too, because that kind of music is kind of like that. It's a musical version of that. It's simple. You pick your spots. Yeah, exactly. Pick your spots, and like you don't overdo it. You're not.
So you don't like maximalism?
So it depends. It depends on what it is. Give me an example of something maximalist, Tim.
Musically or visually, or I mean, I guess you could say.
I'll take a musical one.
Well, Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, he's a maximalist.
I don't know if I understand that stuff. Like, I mean, you guys are playing at Crazy House where you guys lived in. You guys were like playing that stuff. I remember like Weasel was over there, and he was just like, and he was like, this Stockhausen record sucks.
Well, I disagree with him. And it was like because he doesn't, Weasel's very hard with these things. So he's like, I only like Stockhausen like pre-1965 or something. So he has like a line,
okay.
and this is like later stuff, which I disagree with him.
Going back just for a few minutes about your artwork. So, I mean, look, I don't have unpublished or unread writings under my bed or couch. Are you the same way with your illustrations? Do you just do the things that have to be done?
In a word, yes.
As opposed to being a chronic doodler. I'm not a chronic doodler myself.
No, I don't pick up a guitar and start practicing it.
So do you consider yourself prolific or not? Because it seems like you have a lot of material, but you're not compulsively going for it. It just comes along. During the whole lockdown over the last year, did you feel like you got stuff done, or how'd you handle this like artistically?
I fucking drank a lot, man.
Okay.
I'm drinking now. I mean, I gotta say, it's been a hard, awful year. I let lots of dead people.
Yeah, a lot of dead people, right? Exactly. And were you in New York? We were all here hunkering in New York. Did you stay here during the whole first 3 months when it was all really getting insane?
I got back from tour literally the day before it was closed down.
Well, basically, we did too. I mean, we got back from Los Angeles on March 10th. We had a show on Friday the 13th of March, and then I had my first show that was canceled was with this guy Tyson Surrey and Shelley Hirsch. I was really looking forward to it. It was March 15th. They're like, not happening. And then it was basically like, the streets are silent. You hear ambulances and fucking greater New York area, 30,000 people die in fucking like 2 months.
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
let's go back to that moment, because as soon as the lockdown was happening, actually, I had written, which like I said, I don't have spare things under my bed, this piece called Lockdown, and put some of Grid's music to it. And then from that, I actually created with Grid's music a whole kind of spoken word Grid music that's Tim's, I don't even know how to describe it. I just say alt, sensual, out, weird, psychoambient stuff. And also, but I can do this by remote. So we did it by remote, and also other stuff. I was very lucky because I don't leave the house unless I'm on tour. For traveling musicians like Tim, like you, it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
So you were drinking. What was? Oh yeah, Lydia. I think you're on the computer audio, not your microphone.
Frick.
I don't know. But if I ask you, you were drinking. May I ask you what your drink of choice? I mean, obviously like rosé, like wine. Were there spirits you liked? Was there
anything? I'm actually probably the worst. Well, the worst thing I could do is drink whiskey, but that's probably what I like the most.
So what does a whiskey drunk Rick Froberg act like?
Normal.
Nice. Just like you.
Well, because I'm a touring musician.
Yep.
I have a fucking
insane tolerance.
Ironclad liver. I mean, I could just drink. Have
you ever lost your voice on the road? Because as a singer from just alcohol and fatigue, and you're just like, some nights you're like, or you don't give a shit. Never in your life. Whoa. All right. Well
Never.
done.
I know what I'm doing. It's like oh, it's like, because I don't know if you heard my music before.
Yes, I was at your show. I told you.
Oh yes.
All right. So it's pretty shouty. You have to focus on relaxing.
That's what a big cognac is for before the set.
Oh, absolutely. Well, man, it's not. Cognac is actually that's your darn tootin'. That was one of the normal pre-show drinks. Cognac.
Well, Lydia, when I first joined Retro Riders, her band, that was on the rider every night. It was cognac. We did switch it to whiskey because the thing is, especially going into the holidays, you're not drinking a full bottle of whiskey every night. At least we weren't. But you can give them as gifts, especially if you got a nice single malt scotch. And then at the end of the tour, we've got at least 6 or 7.
Well, the beauty, I think the difference between cognac and whiskey is whiskey. You might go to the end of the bottle, but cognac, at least to me, I would always say, I think you've had enough. It's kind of because it's more narcotic and more sensual. It's not like the whiskey's like a truck driver and cognac's like an airline pilot down your gullet.
The best thing, though, the best singing drink is chartreuse. That dark chartreuse.
I'll get back to you on that one. I'll try that next time.
Before you moved to New York, you have a lot of success. Talk about that experience where suddenly your band just starts getting more success, and you're like, "Well, this is what I always wanted," or just like, "I'm just running with this." Like, what was your?
It's a kind of a broad question, but like, the band started because we were in bands before that, and like it was kind of for San Diego, it was kind of a weird, almost a super group kind of band, because we had the rhythm section from this great band called Night Soul Man. And we had me and John.
Pitchfork. Hey, was the website Pitchfork named after your band?
I like to
seriously.
So.
Well, it's strange because I had an interview with Pitchfork yesterday, and then you had a band called Pitchfork quite a few years ago. So I don't know. Everything's.
It's cool if they review your record and they give you a sort of it's like they give you these tepid reviews, like where it's like they go on and on and on.
They were trying to twist my tits in a certain direction. I wouldn't let it go there. Anyway, you had quite a few different bands, though. I mean, I went through different incarnations at the time, yet still working with your friend John, correct? And still.
Mhm.
So was Hot Snakes the thing that really took off?
No,
Or
Drive Like Jehu.
that was the first thing that really took off.
Drive Like Jehu was on a major label. Of all the bands I've been in, that's the one that people really seem to care about the most. It's like the progenitor of like modern emo core or something like that, which is doesn't make me happy. But
you just like you can't pick your fans, you can't pick the bands that you influence.
You can't do any of that. But Hot Snakes is like a. I was up in Drive Like Jehu. I was like, why are our songs 8 minutes long? It's like I'm such a Neanderthal. You're a maximalist. I'm more of a minimalist. My favorite band is like AC/DC, dude.
Yeah, man.
It's like I like simplicity, and that's kind of what Hot Snakes were more about, just keeping the songs under 3 minutes.
Rick, I got to cut in for a minute. AC/DC, I'm going to say
Chuck Berry
T-Rex.
riffs.
You want to get simpler than that? I was big on T-Rex.
I like T-Rex.
Real
too.
simple.
That's great. That's great shit. Just dumb Chuck Berry riffs. I'm stupid. I'm not a smart person. I like stupid music.
Well, as one of my good friends says, there's no other profession on earth than music where you come to a crossroads and you can choose the smarter choice or the dumber one. You choose the dumber one and it's better. It's like, how's this even possible?
Well, you see, that's the difference between your theory and mine.
It's not my theory. It's a friend of my theory.
Generalizing. I'm saying I always ask, how stupid do you have to fucking be? I can't figure it out, which is why Rick has a lot more people at his shows than I do, because somehow he freaking gets it, or he pretends to get it.
I'm just stupid. That's all. I just like stupid shit. I like Motorhead. I listen to that now. Like I was listening to that like yesterday. I was listening to On Parole loud. It's like, I like.
All right, now you're going a little too far for me. Motorhead cleans the blood. Let's face it. It's kind of a blood cleanser.
It's great.
You can't get rid of that teenage boy inside you. Why the fuck should you? Why should you?
No.
Question though, but that's what you prefer.
I can't
Is there
do it.
any quote unquote smart music that you like?
Yes, I like jazz. I like stuff that you like too. But there's what you like and there's what you are. If I'm gonna play music, I'm not. You're way in a whole different universe than I am in, because I know how you play. You're really, really good at what you do. I'm really, really lousy at what I do.
I don't know about that.
But
I don't.
I think you are good at what you do.
But I like lousy though. That's the thing. I like lousy.
All right, we're from 3 different planets here, which is what I like. For some reason, it reminded me of a child's book I wanted to write called "I Love the Louse." The only reason I don't want to write a child's book. I love the louse. Thank you. It's really because I love the flea, because one of my favorite books is Rats Sliced in History, 33rd edition, 50 cents on St. Mark Place years ago. And it's how the flea on the back of the field mouse during the Black Plague killed more men than bombs, bullets, or bayonets. I love the louse. I'm just saying. Rick, could be a collaboration. Children's book, creepy creatures. You do the drawings. I will love the louse and the flea and the octopus, the stinging babies, and there we go. Talk about it later.
You moved to New York, and then you were in another band before you formed Hot Snakes in New York, correct?
Hot Snakes happened when I lived in New York. Not
right. So you formed that, and you kind of you're coming back strong, because that's when I saw you was with Hot Snakes, and I'm like, okay, well, Rick from the Hood, that my little drinking buddy is actually playing in front of 1,000 boys singing along to his songs.
There must have been a couple.
Yeah. It wasn't all, but I would say, I mean, it's not even a criticism. It was, I think it was like 98% guys.
The girls were in the bathroom getting head.
Now you're talking.
Yes.
So this is where we're going. So then things are picking up, and then all tomorrow's parties, and then that kind of falls apart, and then you're kind of touring, and now here we are.
You just keep plugging away, man. If people are gonna come, if people are gonna show up, and it's fun to do, and they'll pay you for it. They'll fucking pay you.
That's why we do it, because it's fun to do it, and we have to frickin' do it whenever we can do it, because it's in our goddamn blood. That's why we got to do it.
Totally, but they'll also pay you for it. So it's like, how can you say no to this? It's like, it's just too fun. It's a problem. Once you're into this,
right,
you're not going to get out of it because it's just so fun. It's so good. And I think it does suspend your maturity or something like that. I'm not sure what it is. It does something to you that makes you a little emotionally retarded.
Talk for yourself there, honey bunny, but that's all right. I understand it. It does because but it's invigorating. It gives you life. Look, doing art, doing music, doing any form of creativity that you have to get out of you is life affirming, not only for the artist itself, but for other people. I mean, that's it. It cleans the blood. It's mandatory if it's burning in you. If it's not, just to keep it in your garage. But it's, art, I consider art is the salve to the universal wound. Now, a lot of music is a wound to my freaking ears, but still, I'm happy people do it.
Well, that's a much less vulgar way of saying what I'm basically saying. I just tend to make things because this is the stupidity problem. I'm stupid.
But I bet you're really good in bed.
Oh yeah. New direction or new erection in this case.
I'm going to take a bye on that one.
I don't know. I'm a little bit raunchy, but I've been locked up for a fucking year. So what do you expect? I've done 2 comics. I did one comic that DC Comics put out with Ted McKeever that I wrote the text for, about a girl born with toxic shock whose pussy kills men. Well, he had nothing to do with it. That's all right.
So, do you have any records in the wings that have not been released yet that you're planning on?
Okay, so Hot Snacks has like a record half in the can. It's pretty good though. That's half in the can. We still got to do more, but I have to get in the plane and put a mask on and like whatever, get in a hazmat suit and go to San Diego and like record that. Then there's another one. There's a live Obits record coming out that I actually.
All right.
When was it recorded?
It was recorded in Brisbane in 2017.
Okay. Cool.
At the zoo. It's called Obits Die at the Zoo.
At the Koala Sanctuary Zoo? I just went there about a month before the shutdown, but anyhow. Did you make the Wall of Fame? Like everyone's on it. And it's really funny. It's like how eclectic that. Yeah, it's like the Pope next to Tommy Lee. It's the whole thing's weird.
Tim loves koalas.
Right. I think it's like Noam Chomsky there too. It gets really wild. So no, I don't think it was Noam Chomsky. But there is like some insane intellectual like that that's there too. I don't forget who it was, but
it was too hot for me to go. That's okay. So what would you say is your spirit animal, Rick?
Oh, easy, squirrel.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Why is that easy? What experiences?
Wait a minute, Tim.
All right.
You better fill them in. Hang on, Rick.
Well, Lydia's gonna like this.
No, I love squirrels.
Interesting.
I love squirrels. Tim knows I love squirrels. I love squirrels. So
she likes the black squirrel too. She likes the
and I've even seen an albino. Rick,
whoa.
I have a feeling we're gonna be like that.
Uh-oh. Well, here's why.
I didn't say like that. I said like that.
Right. Okay, here's how I know. I was in a park in Madrid with my friend. And this woman, a witch, a bruja, was selling like cards, and she said to me, "Tú eres al día," and I was like, "What? I fucking hate squirrels." And and she's telling me like, "Oh, you like nature and all." It's like, oh. It's like, it's because I lived in Kensington and I had a squirrel problem. One day, I came home. And my cats were looking at my bookcases.
One got in the house.
Yeah. And so I came back the next day, and they were still looking at my bookcases.
Oh shit!
I came back the next day. They're still looking at my bookcases. So I'm gonna look behind the bookcase, and there was a squirrel just fucking sitting there.
It must have been hungry.
It was just it just came in my house because we had a squirrel infestation in my house.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Wait, but Tim, when he was living in South Brooklyn, he had a raccoon infestation.
Yeah, I was at East 15th and
way worse.
Oh yeah, way worse. And you know, squirrels go a little quote unquote nuts, you know, in their inner walls, but raccoons fucking really go fucking insane. And
raccoons have like prehensile hands. They're like cats. They can sit. They can grab a bottle of water and drink.
Yeah. And if you walk up to them, they don't even flinch.
The witch told me I was a squirrel.
When I lived in Pittsburgh, I would hand feed 6 squirrels that came to my window, and if I wasn't there on time, they would rattle the screen. I'm telling you, buddy, we got a lot more in common than the general public might be informed of until this conversation.
That's so weird. I have something in common with Lydia Lunch. That's so weird.
Why?
Okay.
Why? You'd be surprised.
I just thought, you know, like Lydia Lunch, you fucking, I think, you know, you're a badass, intense person. She's probably like,
yeah, that's one side. I got many sides here, honey. You know, this is a multiple you're talking to. No biggie.
I was like, you just like be like, fuck you. I don't care. You just seem like I don't know. I didn't know you're so nice.
Well, she is very nice and
I didn't know
very
you
positive.
I didn't know you drank rosé or like squirrels, but I still wanted to talk to you, bro.
No. Not like squirrels. I literally, that's my spirit animal. That's me, a squirrel. According to the witch.
I call all squirrels Ruffy Tuffy Jr., or I had one that was Limpy. That's all I can say. So we're going to have to give you...
Limpy's a good squirrel name. That's a.
We'll think of one for you. Don't worry.
Do you feel
Rick?
Do you feel bad when you see
the squirrel?
When you see those kind of really kind of urban fucked up ones, kind of like feral cats that are all kind of scraggly? Do you feel kind of bad for those?
I do.
Okay, I have to ask you: have you ever seen 101 Dead Squirrels, the animated little? It's so fantastic. We'll talk about it later. It's squirrels committing suicide in multiple ways. They just want to. What can I say? Have
like
to do
Lemmings style or like an individual.
Well, for instance, squirrel goes into a doctor's office. There's a bag of blood. He hooks himself up to it. Nurse walks in. He explodes full of blood. Love it.
That sounds amazing.
I'll try to dig it up for our.
That sounds amazing.
It was based on 101 Suicidal Bunnies, which I think was a Japanese thing, but what can I say? In my opinion,
that sounds amazing too.
Squirrels can do no wrong unless they bite you on the nose when you're trying to feed them a French fry.
Well, so you know that whole installation thing about, you know, I think it was started in Chicago. I don't know, where they put cows around cities. You know, that whole thing. Well, someone
I hate those.
I hate those too. But no, this is what's in Chicago. So in Chicago, there was an artist that was making
They had him here.
This artist in Chicago was doing a statement against that and started planting these kind of squirrel statues all over the city, and then as a statement against the cows. Yeah.
Well, Catskill has the cats. I mean, these are just dumb things, you know. I don't know. These are just
cats aren't dumb.
No, cats are not dumb, but the cat sculptures which litter Catskill are horrible. They're not good. You know what? I'll go with the Tasmanian devil as a sculpture.
Dude, what does it even look like?
You didn't see it at the Brisbane sanctuary. They had a Tasmanian devil.
Well, at the airport in Australia, they have all kinds of copper or Tasmanian devils, like next to suitcases, picking pockets. Anyway,
why in Brisbane though? Because it's a Tasmanian.
Because Tasmania is right off of Australia, and then their zoos that are pretty accessible.
I'm not sure which airport has the Tasmanian devils right when you walk out, but it's the same airport where, Tim, if you recall, because we were in Australia.
Hobart, Tasmania is where they have this.
Which, by the way, it's where I got 6 hot cops to pose for a picture with me, because that's the kind of shit I do on tour. I
hang with cops.
I seduce them. I make them cry. You have no idea.
No, Rick, you've hung out with cops. In fact, you've both been to that bar we used to go to in Marine Park, Billy's. Remember a couple times? That's a cop.
That place rules.
Yeah, that's a cop.
Trust me on this. Not only do I get free drinks, I beat everybody, but I do. I beat people in pool, but usually I play with myself. I make cops cry. And then occasionally I even have a slow dance with Tim Dahl.
Dude, I gotta hang out with you guys more often. This sounds so fun.
Rick, we're winding down soon, and what I can't believe, one thing I'm gonna say is, how did the two of you just miss each other? Because just as you kind of exited my kind of regular life, Rick, Lydia
Right.
entered him kind of shortly after. So you guys kind of just like, what do they call it? 2 ships in a night kind of situation.
Shoot 2 ships passing in the
Yeah,
night.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
there's a
I will
time.
introduce you.
Excuse me.
She's my spiritual surrogate. That's
There is a time and a place for everything. And I
Right.
think it might be coming soon. That's all I can say. I think that the time is certainly not running out. It's running slower than ever before, but that gives us plenty of leisure time to have a nice cocktail hour. That would be you, me, and the lady of your choice, Tim Dahl, whatever else he wants to bring, and possibly Simon Slater. It's an invite. It's on me.
It's got Simon's gotta be there. I don't know.
There he is right there.
No, Simon's there he is. Okay, so all I saw before is a robot. Oh, there's a robot again. Oh,
So he's a cyborg. He's a cyborg.
robot profile. Robot profile. It's like very strange. So I want to ask Simon some shit, but this is
You can
Go
ask
ahead.
him.
Yeah.
We have
Awesome,
we have plenty for the podcast. You can ask him whatever.
all right. So we got to hang out.
We are. That's the conclusion of this whole podcast is that we're actually in the physical realm. We're gonna hang out.
That's the fucking point of this whole thing.
Yes, exactly. It's a big ruse. We're just trapping you to get you out of your apartment. And
Well, and when you're in Park Slope, literally, you are. The thing is, Tim's 10 minutes away. Park Slope is like 6 minutes away from me. Have you been vaxxed, Rick?
Not yet. No, not yet.
Well, you know what? I signed up. Walgreens is 2 blocks away. Got mine there and getting my second one on Friday.
You went to Walgreens?
Tim told me one day that they're dropping the age. 2:00 in the morning, I got online. 2 days later, I had an appointment at Walgreens 2 blocks away. Going for Friday for my second one. Tim has his first. Simon has his first. Got to get in line, buddy. Or don't you want it?
No, I'll fucking.
Well, if we're all vaxxed, we don't care if you're not. Ha ha ha.
I'll take it.
This has been a great conversation with the multi-talented musical instigator, Rick Froberg, great illustrator. I feel a project coming on in the future with him, and I don't know why. I just feel his graphics, words. We're going to do something. Friend of Tim's and Simon's. This is like a family affair suddenly. Even though I've never met you, we have so much in common, and we're neighbors.
I've seen you around.
Yeah, you have. At the graveyard? No.
I used to live in Barcelona. That's so cool.
Yeah, well, I didn't say me tramping.
Squirrels in Barcelona. Many connections here.
We got a lot of things in common. All I'm saying is this. It's not when you meet somebody, it's that you meet the right people, and you usually do in your lifetime. And I'm very happy to know you, my friend. And this has been the Lydian Spin, Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, Rick with many hats and many bands, and most recently, Hot Snakes coming back at you again, Froberg.
Gracias.